All right, so here we go for our second great resource. This one will give you a better understanding of the solar system as a whole. Because with the last program, Stellarium, we're kind of tied to the Earth, seeing what the sky looked like from the Earth. You know, with this next program, it's going to be more of a big picture idea of the solar system and about the tools that we use to explore the solar system. So you can explore a bunch of the different spacecraft that have been used to explore the outer planets, to explore different parts of our galaxy and the sun. So really cool stuff here. This is one of my favorite programs to get around, just have some fun casually exploring the solar system. We have NASA's Eyes on the Solar System. There's Eyes on Earth, Eyes on Exoplanets as well. It might look like three different programs, but really it's all the same thing. You download one of them, you get all three of them. You just choose which one you want to use at startup. Download times can be probably about 10 minutes to an hour, depending on your internet connection. For me, it did take a minute. I'm on satellite, which is a little inconsistent. So keep that in mind as you download it. And also, this thing runs with an active internet source. So your internet will really dictate how well this thing performs. So again, just click on that. The prompt will appear at the bottom. You'll download and install and be ready to go. Again, I chose Eyes on the Solar System. We start out with the simple mode, which is very simple. I'm going to go ahead and go full screen here and get rid of me. But we have, again, very simple navigation in the simple mode. You have designations, which will take you to different objects in the solar system. Missions, you can, again, visit different spacecraft exploring our solar system. And then you have news and people, which will actually take you to websites outside of this program. So destinations, again, so many options here. You can focus in on the inner solar system, the outer solar system. You have Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Oh, just kidding, Kuiper Belt. And again, different objects that are highlighted around that, particularly the moons associated with each of these objects. Asteroid belt right over here, and then comets. Can't forget those comets. And then same kind of thing with pictures. So very pretty, very well done. And you can get out there and just have a blast exploring all sorts of things. Now, let's go ahead and check out the advanced options here. And advanced, ultimately not any more complicated than what we just saw there. Pretty similar. We have the destination tab, which will bring you to any destination you want, whether it's one of the planets, dwarf planets, asteroid, comets, or spacecraft. So it's all the same stuff we just saw. We have date and time. You got a nice little slider here, but you can also put in a very specific time. We have your speed and rate. So you can pick 1 second per second all the way up to 1 week per second. And then as well a slider which does all the same thing. You can reset to real time, a handy button that I often have to use. And finally, the visual controls. We'll get to these once we start flying around the place. But for now, what we have is the truly advanced part of advanced, which is all these visual controls. So you can control kind of what you see in this Eyes on the Solar System program. If you do run into any kind of performance issues because of your internet, you can kind of take some of these things off, and that should certainly help you out a good bit. So I turned off the spacecraft. There's thousands of spacecraft in this program, so that helps out a lot. You can even take out some of the moons or dwarf planets, things like that, and just look at what you want to see. I suggest if you do want to look at asteroids, you got to actually turn those on. And for me, if I try to do asteroids and spacecraft. It just slows the whole thing down a lot. So again, not an issue for everybody, but something to be aware of when you start exploring. So we're gonna do our first bit of exploration here. Let's go ahead and visit a planet, and I choose the planet Saturn. So we'll go to our destination mode. I really do like using the menu here to navigate through. It makes things kind of quick and easy, but of course very fun to go free flying all around the place. That's certainly an option as well. Now, just like with the Stellarium system, you just hold the left mouse button down and you can scroll around, change your point of view. And here we see just a beautiful rendering of Saturn and its rings. Slowly, different moons are popping up. I'm using the mouse wheel to scroll in and out. So a lot of the controls are basically the same between the two programs and practically all the programs out there. So they're all very intuitive to use. Now let's look at Enceladus, one of Saturn's moons. One of the most interesting places in our solar system, especially in our search for life. We don't know of any other places where there's life in our solar system but Earth, but we do know of places out there that are very interesting. And once you get beyond the asteroid belt, water is the building block of worlds, and that's clearly demonstrated here with Enceladus, which is a water world. You have a frozen ice surface. We can see all the cracks in the surface generated by real data from different missions that have gone out there. So they take real images and graph them into here. And one of the reasons why we know there's water on Enceladus is because it's literally erupting out of the moon in these huge geysers, and they have this beautiful animation. So there's all sorts of cool things to get out there and explore and discover like this in the moons of the outer planets. So I just love the amount of detail and the accuracy with all that. So the other important thing about this is the spacecraft. So let's go ahead and find one of the more recent missions. We'll check out the the Parker Solar Space Probe. And you did see the nice big extensive list of all the different types of spacecraft that are out there. And the Parker Space Probe heading to the sun to do the most detailed measurements of a star ever taken. Very exciting stuff. You can click these buttons down here on your destination mode to learn a little bit more about the object you're looking at. You can also check your current position in the solar system, and right over here there's a little it's loading right now, but it's going to do a little animation where you zoom out from where you are to a larger view of the solar system. So right now we're in between Venus and the Earth. And of course, Parker is due to get much, much closer to the sun over time. It's working its way there. This tool I like a lot. It's a measuring tool to compare sizes. So we can compare the size of this spacecraft to a person. I wish you could kind of change that distance there or the perspective, but still pretty cool nonetheless. And let's compare it to a bus. I think it says a vehicle, but really it's a bus. so that's pretty neat as well. You know, you get some good idea about just how huge these space observatories are and these different objects. And then there's also the stadium. Not as relevant most of the time, usually dwarfs in comparison to what these spacecraft are, or if you try and compare a celestial body, this thing is dwarf in comparison, so maybe good for comparing the size of an asteroid, but nevertheless we're looking at a huge football field complex here. Alright, now what I want to do is just reset. I always like to just click on solar system to reset the perspective here. And again, you get a really good look at the whole structure of the solar system, just seeing how far apart those planets are and away from each other. Get way out there into the dwarf planets and the comets. And you can really get way, way out there, which is kind of cool. Eventually, I'm not sure what you eventually run into. We can actually use the slider here to zoom out. So this guy right here can give you a nice smooth zoom out. You see the star field. But eventually you hit the limits of this system, and you're limited to just a small region in our galaxy. But still fun to get that kind of perspective. So zooming all the way back, we'll wrap things up by just flying around the Earth and taking a look at some of the navigational options. There's cool tricks you can do to help you get a really good look at each planet or object you might be orbiting. Alright, so we'll go to Earth. It's nice. Double click there. And again, depending on your internet, these downloads will happen faster or slower. You do have the option of turning on spacecraft, which are on at the moment for me, which is slowing the process because, over time you're going to see more and more of those pop in and out. Oh, okay, actually it was off already. So interesting that we were able to look at the Parker Space Probe even with spacecraft turned off. But you can see these spacecraft popping up more and more each second. And one of the fun things to do with that is to speed up time and watch them all just go around. So I won't quite do that there because I don't have the confidence that it won't glitch out and be crazy. So wrapping up here with just some of the navigational tricks here. You do have a zoom in button, which will take you close to the planet. You have a zoom out, which will show you more of the perspective in the solar system. And here we see the Earth-Moon system to scale. Very important. And we'll go back to zoom in. And one of my favorite buttons here is this fly through button. So it'll take you kind of to the edge-on view of the planet, and you can just scroll around the outermost atmosphere of that planet to look at the planet from any perspective, just skimming all around. So fun stuff there. Now right over here we do have a few more options that we haven't quite touched into yet. We have, you can just hide the whole menu here. Totally not necessary unless you're trying to take a screenshot or something. And actually that's what picture mode is all about. It removes all the labels and lines and just gives you a nice clear image of whatever it is you're looking at. You can close out of the program from there, go back to simple mode. We have bookmark this link. I'm not exactly sure what that does. I'm sorry, I haven't quite used that. Goes back to window mode, so this will minimize from full screen. And then we get into a couple useful ones here. We have toggling the lighting. So right now, if we click on this, you can see how the night disappears. So it kind of removes the physics of day and night. So you can see any part of the planet illuminated clearly. If you click on that again, it gives you strong shadows. So you see day and night very clearly. And then if you click on that one more time, it lightens up the shadow of the night side, and you can see that nighttime side a little bit better. So use that as you will. The last thing we'll do, there's a help button and a home button, which will take you, I think, to the internet webpage. But you can click on telescope mode. So if you're targeted onto a planet in the solar system, you can do telescope mode, and with the Earth you actually have these locations, prominent locations that you can kind of observe from. And let's go to Hawaii, because there are some really amazing observatories in Hawaii. And this kind of goes into like a planetarium mode where you can kind of see the night sky. at any particular time, where the planets are. It's all true to that place and whatever time you're looking at. Of course, this system not as robust as the last one we observed. All right, so with these tools, you all can get out there and just have some fun exploring space, the night sky, the planets of our solar system. I'll be back in a week or so with a good dive into the lunar cycle. We'll be using these programs to investigate the moon and going over some hands-on activities as well. So hope you guys enjoy your time and have a good week.